everybody. Welcome in to the NBA Front Office Show. It's Friday. You know what that means.
Front Office Friday preseason edition.
Preseason edition. Let's go. We're back, baby. All right, the NBA back in action. We've already had a couple of preseason games take place. We've got Lakers Suns tonight. All kinds of stuff going on around the NBA to talk about. Happy to have you all here on the NBA Front Office Show. If you're coming in from the YouTube channel, make sure you do hit that subscribe button. Podcast listeners, after the fact, make sure you guys follow us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Keith, man, you know, we've talked about it before. Other sports may have it worse, but it's been a long off season, in my opinion, and I'm so happy to have NBA back. Even if it is just preseason, I'm still happy to have NBA basketball back and in action.
Yeah, I agree. It was fun watching the game yesterday afternoon. Watching the game this morning. I was watching it before I got into running my daughter to school and everything, and I had a blast. Watched what I missed after, and ready to go. So yeah, it was really cool to see that crowd in Australia. They were really fired up for the game.
Yeah.
Dash Daniels, we can maybe talk about him if we want to. Draft prospect, playing for Melbourne, showed out and played pretty well. Zion looked pretty good for the Pels. So yeah, it's great. And then nice thing is get a nap this afternoon and then be able to watch the game tonight with the Lakers and the Suns. So
that's right.
Good all around. I like the now the front officers, the front office fanatics are they're starting to like predict what the yell is going to be in the chat.
What it's going to be. The basketball is back edition, right?
Yeah, our boy MJ here with that. So yeah.
All right, everybody, get your questions, your comments in, anything that you guys want to ask, and we'll get into it here.
There we go
on the show.
Do you know?
As far as I know, he's playing. The only ones we know for sure are not playing are Marcus Smart, LeBron James, Maxi Kleber, and Adu Thiro. Those are the four that we know will not be playing. Everybody else, I believe, will play, but there hasn't been anything official in either way on that. But they did say yesterday, JJ said yesterday, Redick said specifically those four players would be out. So the fact that he didn't mention anybody else, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that everybody else at least gets some minutes out there.
Yeah, you probably get a little bit of a cameo appearance. Start the game, play a little bit there, and then we'll see where they go. Maybe sometimes they'll run them back out, start the second half, just so they have that, let's restart experience again, and then kind of go from there. But yeah, I'm not sure that it's definitely going to be, you're not going to see those guys play too long, not in preseason game number one.
And worth noting, too, on the Suns side of things for tonight, Jalen Green dealing with a hamstring issue. He'll be out of action. And then Mark Williams, also just by virtue of being Mark Williams, is out of action as well. So those guys will be out on the Suns side. But look, don't expect full starting. Don't expect 5 players to play the entire second half this time for the Lakers. We're going to see a lot of players subbed in and out. We're going to see a lot of lineups and things that you wouldn't normally expect. And I would be surprised if the main players on either roster plays anywhere close to heavy minutes, like probably less than 20 minutes for most of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a chance to look at some of your bench units and see what they look like together. It's usually that second, third, fourth, depending on how many preseason games they even play.
Yeah.
That's where you'll get a little bit more minutes there from some of the people.
Exactly. So that's the expectation going into a preseason game, that we're going to get opportunities to see. And I'm excited to see those guys too, to see some of the guys that are, near the end of the bench on the bubble to make the roster, things like that, to see how they play. All right, let's go here. D-Rock said Nets are below the salary floor. One final move. Keep your shaking your head no.
No, they're above the salary floor now. They might maybe dip back under when they do a couple waivers, but they're about $3 million above the salary floor. They're still under the salary cap. They're still $12 million under the cap. So
that's probably what he's thinking of.
Yeah, that's probably, I'm guessing, what he's asking. But yeah, I mean, if be at the floor on day one of the regular season, being under the cap can that can run out for all the by all year if they want to. Nothing says they even have to do that. I think the Nets are probably done for now, unless somebody needs to, like the Knicks. And used to be Knicks and Nets never traded with each other. That finally broke after they moved Mikal Bridges. But like, if the Knicks are like, man, we really want to keep Brogdon and Shamet, that means moving the thought has been moving Pacom Dadier.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're like, Nets, you want to take Pacom Dadier for a couple seconds? And the Nets are like, great, yeah, let's do it. Maybe a smaller thing like that, but I don't think any kind of big move is coming at this point.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know what? Those smaller moves, they do matter. They can't add up, especially when we're looking at the overall build of a team. Hitting, I don't even know if we could call it a single, but hitting those kinds of singles can certainly matter. And maybe that is still in order for the Nets. But I don't expect, for Nets fans, I don't expect this to be a particularly fun season in terms of the basketball you're going to be watching out there on the floor. But I do like the direction this team is headed in. Think ultimately they're going to be better off for it. And I'm really curious to see, what happens with Michael Porter Jr., what happens with Nick Claxton. Do these guys finish the season on the Nets roster, or do they fully, tear things down here? What does this ultimately look like? I don't know. Maybe with Michael Porter Jr., though, somebody's got to take a microphone away from him first before anything else.
Yeah, our guy Jason here says Knicks are not attaching a second to move Dadier. If anything, they should be getting a second. I mean, in theory, sure, this guy was a former first-round pick, but if the Knicks are in a spot where they have to get off salary to keep two veteran minimum guys right now, as it stands, they can only keep one on the roster because they don't have enough room for two under their hard cap. Mm-hmm. We'll see, where that lands with them, and if you're desperate, that teams know that, right? And it's going to be, hey,
they extract value.
Pacom Dadier doesn't have that kind of value where teams are going to be like, yeah, let's go get him. He was a guy that teams are kind of like, borderline first round pick when the Knicks picked him anyway. And I think if they're stuck, they're going to be like, let's just kind of wait and see, and we can kind of grab them that way.
I mean, we saw it with Kobe Buffkin, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to give up something to move, and he was what, the 16th, I want to say, pick in that year's draft.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, that's the way it goes sometimes. Mm-hmm. Especially in today's NBA with the cap environment that we've got. Greenlight said, Trev, how excited are you for Lakers basketball? Very excited. If you got the Lakers Nation podcast this morning, yeah, I'm fired up. Happy to be back. Really excited. Could Laravia have a breakout year starter? I would hesitate to slot him in as a starter at this point. Could he have a breakout year in that he's a better player, I think, than a lot of people recognized when he was first signed? Yeah, I think so. But I also think that was true of Jake Laravia before he became a Los Angeles Laker. I've been high on him for a few years. Keith, you and I talked about it last summer. I was shocked, and I know you were too, that the Memphis Grizzlies didn't pick up his team option. I thought he was a better player than what they were, considering him to be. So a breakout year, sure, but I think that could be just virtue of the Lakers spotlight shining on him and more people seeing. I think just a lot of people hadn't seen a lot of Jake Laravia because he was with Memphis and then with the Sacramento Kings. Where are you at on Jake, Keith? And obviously we had Jake on this show a few months ago and had that viral moment and all of that. But where are you at on him as a player?
Yeah, I think breakout season, as far as what you said, people are like, okay, this guy's better than what I thought.
Yeah.
That's where I think we could be with him. I think the fact that he's a very smart player who knows how to get open, that's going to help playing on a team with really good passing. The Lakers need guys who can play off Luka and LeBron and Austin and knock down shots. And I think he has a chance to be that guy. And then you have the added value of he can put the ball on the floor and do a little bit for himself too, which is nice. He's not just a spot up catch and shoot guy. He can be somebody who, all right, I can drive a closeout. I can make a play. I can make that next pass. I can keep the ball cycling. Those are all good things. I think there's been it's funny because like no one, I feel like, is being at all reasonable about his defense, because I'm hearing some like, oh, he's been awesome, he's going to be like a shutdown defender. And then I've heard other people be like, he can't defend a cone. I think the truth is in the middle. I think he's fine. I don't think he's not going to be stepping up and locking down opposing, all-star perimeter players, but he's also not going to be somebody who guys who are, bench players that can barely do anything are going to be destroying either. He'll be fine. Yeah, I think, good, solid rotation forward, gives them some shooting and scoring off the bench. He's an okay rebounder, okay passer, holds up defensively. That's what you want out of a situation for a guy who's making, whatever, what is it, $6 million?
$6 million a season.
Yeah.
For 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, if he can give you 20 minutes come playoff time, that's a home run of a signing for $6 million.
Absolutely. And then he said, does Austin Reeves have the most pressure on him going into the season? I mean, it is a contract year, so that certainly matters. There's been a lot of discussion about his role with the team, whether or not he fits. So, I mean, I do think that there's a lot of pressure. You could also name DeAndre Ayton being in kind of a prove-it situation. Rui Hachimura is in a contract year. But in terms of who's had the most discussion about him, probably Austin Reeves, I would think, with the Lakers.
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
fair.
I think LeBron and Luka always carry some level of pressure. That's what comes with being the star player. Sure. But Reeves and DeAndre Ayton are probably the two guys that have the most pressure on them. Ayton, because he can fill such a huge need for the team. I think it is with Reeves, there is pressure because he is someone who has real expectations of what he can be, where it's live up to him or the team probably falls short of where they want to be. And that can be a little bit tough, but it'll be interesting to see, kind of how that happens.
Sure. Okay, let's go here. Adam Silver is one of the worst managers of business I have recently seen. Terrible job Silver has done with the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, record prices, $1 billion TV contracts. Everybody's making more money than they've ever made before. We're closing in on players are going to be making regularly max. Players are going to be making $70 to $80 million this season. Yeah, just terrible. Job. Everybody, well, what are you basing that on? It's they think he's done fine, and it just makes me laugh when I see that. That's why I even flagged it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it comes down to what are you basing it on? Do I agree with everything Adam Silver has done? No, of course not. But overall, you look at the way the NBA has gone, and I think that some of the things that people have disagreed with, like the play-in tournament, right? Everybody was like, "Oh, this is dumb. We shouldn't do this. This is awful." And it's been great. It's been amazing. The play-in tournament has been a wonderful addition. Now, has the NBA Cup been as good as people would want? Are people still skeptical on it? Sure, we can make questions. Sure. The All-Star Game stuff, is he handling that properly? Should they have a different solution to all of that? Because they obviously haven't fixed it yet. There are things that you can complain about, but in general, you look at the state of the business and it's very, very good. It's very strong, and the NBA continues to move forward. So I don't know. I think no matter who the person in this role would be, whether it's Adam Silver or anybody else, we will have things to complain about. That's just the way that it is.
And Izzy's right. The NBA fan is also spending more than ever. Guess what? So are football fans, so are baseball fans, so are movie fans. Everything costs more than ever now. Tell me, I don't know of anything off the top of my head that is a hobby that is cheaper than it was. Like, everything is more expensive. Look at the outcry there was at the cost of the Switch 2 and the cost of buying individual video games. People were losing their minds over that, and people are like, I pay as much for a game now as I paid for my game system. Well, 20 years ago, I could fill my tank, my gas tank in my car for $10. It's
those
just
were the days.
I wish everything was cheaper, but it isn't, and that's that's where it is.
Yep. That's the way that it goes. But I think if we're going to be critical of Silver for in terms of fans spending more, it's more having to watch the game through so many different portals and
Sure.
wondering if that caps the
But
number of
that's not
people
just
watching the game.
him,
But no, that's
right?
not. That's
Yeah.
all sports and everything, and it's a bigger discussion. So we're getting into fan spending. Yes, everything is more expensive in general. Just that's inflation and the way
Yeah.
that sort of stuff goes.
Here's the thing. Yeah, he's in charge of working with everybody to negotiate deals with 3-4 different places to be able to watch games now. But you know who's not complaining? The players. The players are also super excited about it because they're making a ton more money. And no one's saying it's everything's fine because it's expensive. It sucks. We wish all of this was cheaper. I wish it was cheaper to go to games and do all this stuff, but it's just the reality. I like to try to control what I can control versus spending a lot of time getting upset over things that there's nothing I can do. And then last thing we'll say here, the highlight league comment, go read the rest of the quote. Yeah. Because that part got cut out where he said, yeah, it's a highlight league, but we also have more games available than ever on over-the-air TV with NBC and ABC. There's ways to get games that people never had before. There was a very long quote there, and we kind of go forward from there. And now people are talking about woke and all this other stupid stuff, so we can move on.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a political thing or anything like that. Just general the state of basketball. All right, Malik Beasley would be perfect for the Knicks.
Sure,
it feels like you could insert the name of just about any team there, though, right? A guy who shoots really well would be a good fit in a lot of places around the NBA. But sure, for the Knicks now. But do they have the space for him right now? No. And are you surprised that we're still waiting on Malik Beasley to land somewhere right now?
No, because I think. Speaking of context, it got a little warped when federal investigation or the federal investigator said he's no longer the target of the investigation, but they were clear in their thing, like they have not cleared him, but it got reported as he's been cleared. Well, he wasn't the target of it anymore. And the NBA made it clear, hey, we're doing our whole own investigation into what went on here. So, because of that, teams just aren't, until teams have from the league, this is what is happening. And if that is suspended for half the season, there's no suspension at all. He's suspended for a full year. Until they have clarity on that, nobody's going to touch him because nobody wants to give him any kind of money. And he's not going to take like a training camp contract or a non-guaranteed contract. He's going to hold out. So this one's probably going to be a while. And then just reality, looking at the landscape, if he is able to play, someone's going to get him on a really team-friendly contract, either part of a leftover exception or on a prorated minimum at some point into the season, and then we go forward from there.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at and what's going to happen with Malik Beasley, there's just not a lot of teams that have roster spots that have financial flexibility to go add somebody right now. But again, like you said, it's going to take that NBA clearance. Teams have to know what it is that they're getting into for sure from the league before they're going to sign up for that. All right, let's go here. Kevin said, would you do Gabe, Hayes, and a first for Grimes and Drummond? I mean, Grimes would have to waive his no trade. It would. I guess the question is, would Philly do that?
Yeah.
Or I would think they would rather have Quentin Grimes. I mean, the first round pick obviously would be attractive, but I think they would rather have Quentin Grimes. Than from the Lakers' perspective, are you giving up your first, which is your main trade asset, your weapon here, for a player in Grimes who would be incentivized to explore the market next summer? So you're talking about one season. So I do like Quentin Grimes, and if he was on a longer term salary, I think you could make an argument for this, but I could see where both sides would be like, I don't know about this one.
Yeah. So what the Lakers have, without making it complicated, they have the one first round pick they can trade, right?
Yeah. 2031 or 2032.
Yeah. 32. So I mean, I guess if you're Philly, the nice thing there is that lines up right with when they'll finally be out of Embiid and PG. So I mean, that part, I guess you'd be like, okay, that's a nice asset to have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've said it before. I don't that far out of a Lakers pick. They will very likely either you're going to get very lucky because they're in a downswing, or they'll have already gone through the downswing and they'll have figured it back out. The Lakers are just one of those franchises. They're not down for very long. You know, they're just the team that comes back in part because they're Lakers and they're in Los Angeles and all of that. And now they've got Luka. So like betting on their draft future that's a little like, I don't know that I want to do that. And Vincent and Hayes have no value for the Sixers at all. Like that's not guys they would want. So yeah, that's probably where it breaks down.
Yeah,
me. And Drummond's tough, especially if this team's gonna try to be good. Maybe this is one where when you get around the trade deadline, if Embiid's out and George is out and Philly's like we stink again, then maybe you could do it around then. But something happening anytime soon, that I would be very surprised.
They're just expirings in this situation. But if you're LA, if you're going to give up that first, you have to get somebody that is going to be part of your future. And I think the uncertainty with Grimes would be a concern from that. And then the other question is, you really can't give up that first unless you feel like the move is putting you over the top.
Yeah.
And again, 100%. You won't know if what you need is a Quentin Grimes to get over the top until the midseason point when you've had a real chance to assess the roster. All right, let's go.
Yep.
Let's go here. A healthy Cam Thomas will ruin the Nets tank. True or false?
No.
False.
Yeah.
False.
They just won't play him. Like if that's how it's going, they'll just stop playing him. That's the reality of it.
Like he could average 25 a night and the Nets still lose most of their games.
Yep. I mean, and he could, if he's playing great and they're winning games, then they just sit him. Like, I think it's pretty clear at this point. It's pretty unlikely Cam Thomas's future lies with the Nets after, they didn't make him any kind of serious offer and he had to sign the qualifying offer. So I think we're in a spot where they've got a ton of other young guards that they're going to play instead, and that'll be how it goes. He may be good enough to maybe ruin the tank on some nights, but they'll just, all right, he's going too good. Sit him down because there's no reason to play him.
Yep. All right, let's go here. Will teams leave EuroLeague for the new NBA Europe League, or will teams play in both plus their domestic league? Do we even have the details on what that would look like at this point? I feel like we're too early in the process to know if they'd be taking teams from the rest of Europe and bringing them in.
Yeah, I mean, the talks are that teams may leave, like one of the two of the teams that have been mentioned pretty prominently, Real Madrid and Barcelona, as teams that the NBA may want. They will not be in EuroLeague and whatever the NBA Europe League is, whatever it's called. They will pick one or the other. The domestic league, that remains to be seen. That may be one where they still stay. It's kind of a foreign concept. Not that's weird to put it that way because it is foreign to us, but like I think people don't fully get that. Like EuroLeague is like Champions League in soccer where you qualify for EuroLeague. And what happens is teams play in EuroLeague and that's like 40-ish games of a season followed by playoffs at the end. And then they also play in their domestic league, which is like Spanish teams play in Spain, Italian teams in Italy. And that's like another like 40-ish games or so. And they play in that league. And that's how you get up to, roughly a 70 to 80 game season for a lot of these guys. And depending on the team, some place a lot of priority on doing well in the domestic league. Others put a lot of priority on doing well in EuroLeague. Some it's all about EuroLeague. In the domestic league is like where their young guys play and their developmental guys. But so that's it. I think it would be hard to get those teams to fully leave their domestic league. But if the NBA says, hey, this NBA Europe is going to be an 80-game season or a 70-game season that we're going to create over here, then you're probably going to have to leave that. But I think at least initially it's probably going to be somewhere in the range of 10 or 12 teams. So that will mean it's probably only going to be play everybody 2 or 3 times or whatever it is, and then we go. So they'll probably stay domestic, but they won't be in both EuroLeague and NBA Europe.
It'll be interesting to watch how this all plays out with this European League, how quickly it all comes together. Are they able to beat LeBron to the punch with all of that? And then how does talent maybe moving between the leagues? What does that look like? This will be really interesting. I mean, we could really set up the future of basketball. Sure. For the NBA with this. So certainly something that we'll be keeping an eye on. All right, before we get to our next question here, I need to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, and that is Sleeper. Sleeper does a fantastic job. I made a few picks here for this weekend. Dak Prescott. Yeah, I think he can get more than half of a passing yard. I'll take the freebie there. And then I'll stick with my running backs, Jonathan Taylor and Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm going to say both find the end zone this weekend. If you guys want to get in on it, you can use the link in the description down below to go check out Sleeper, which is more than just a fantasy platform for season-long leagues. They also provide live stats, real-time updates, and visualization. They have a news feed with lightning-fast updates and a real-time chat where you can engage with other users about individual plays and performances for both the NFL and the NBA. So you can download that Sleeper app using that link below and experience it for yourself. Use our code CAPSPACE and you get a $100 deposit match up to $100. And they also have a free $20 entry promo going right now. No deposit needed. Free $20 entry. So go check that out. Again, that promo code is CAPSPACE over at Sleeper. Use the link in the description below. All right, let's get to our next question here. And let's go with Jackson. Ryan said Jackson Hayes said he gained 20 pounds, but it's listed at 225. Did he really gain? Because he was listed at 215. And I talked about that a ton, about how he was only 215 pounds and he was a center and all of that. So I know that number, but he was listed at 215 last year, and now this year he's at 225, where he was right around 215 last year, now listed at 225. Look, this is kind of like how a guy changes teams and suddenly he gets listed as like an inch taller, an inch shorter, or whatever. Yeah. I wouldn't take everything here as gospel. I think just from looking at Jackson Hayes, he was the one guy I think on the Lakers roster that I immediately went, oh, he put on some muscle, right? Like it just, when he immediately sat down at media day, it was noticeable that he was bigger. He looked stronger, his shoulders bigger, all of that. I would pay more attention to that. Like, how does he actually look than exactly what the weight is being listed at? He says he gained 20 pounds. The Lakers have him listed at 225. So that would be 10 pounds. What is it really? Does it really matter? The bottom line is he definitely put on muscle this summer, and then we'll see, what kind of an impact that makes for him.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely has the room and the frame to bulk up some. What you always worry about with a guy like that is just do it the right way and don't go too far with it. Because sometimes those guys, Jonathan Isaac has talked about this. He bulked up last season because if you remember the season before, he played a lot at the 5. And he's like, if I'm going to be playing the 5 and taking that physical, a role on for the team, I need to be bigger. Then he felt like he wasn't as quick, wasn't as explosive, and just didn't feel right. So he was like, I lost weight this summer and went back more to where I was. And that's what you got to be careful of, because it can go a little too far sometimes. It's also like, it's kind of funny, right? I love Luka and I can't wait, but some people are like, got to be careful with Luka, like, because if he loses too much weight, part of what makes Luka so special is like he just overpowers any smaller guy. Then they're like, you got to, again, it's do it in the right way. So
it's a fine line.
It's a fine line. It's about the play. Mostly for me, it's about the player being comfortable and able to stay healthy. If they're there, then it goes in. I trust listed weights and heights, like, about as much as someone trying to sell me the Brooklyn Bridge. Like, right. They're just all over the place. I don't even know what to make of them.
This has been the summer more of muscle watch to weight loss instead. I mean, Luka, Zion, Joel Embiid. Zion, I mean, has noticeably lost a lot of weight too. Sure. So
Zion looked good this morning too.
He looked quick.
He was quick.
And he's always quick. And he's always like, how is a guy his size moving that quick? But he looked even quicker to me. I don't know from what I saw.
Did you see the play at the end of the first half where like they inbounded it to him and he basically went like 3/4 court for a layup. And it was like, okay, Zion's moving.
Yeah. When
Like,
he gets
I'm
going,
excited.
yeah, he could be good. And hopefully the bigger thing, more so that because he's even at his previous weight, he's amazing when he's on the floor. He's incredible. The bigger thing is, does the weight loss allow him to stay on the floor? Yeah. That's the most important thing, more than any kind of increase in burst, because maybe he loses a little bit of the overpowering presence, in the paint with the lack of size. Maybe it's does this make him a better basketball player? I don't know. We'll see. Does this make him a player who stays on the floor more? That's the key. And if that's the case, then this is going to be a huge, huge win for the Pelicans and for Zion Williamson if the weight loss allows him to stay on the floor.
Speaking of weight, is Dallas food the issue? AD is fat now. I thought it was funny because AD was heavy. Like, I always come in a little heavy because I lose weight rapidly in season. That he did say that. I've seen this thing. It doesn't look fat. Like, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but I mean, he looks.
As somebody who watched AD for years, he looked heavier than I've seen him before. You know what I mean? And it didn't look like it was all like Jackson Hayes. I went, oh, he put on muscle. AD, I was like, it's not all muscle that he put on there, but could he play that weight off in a month or so? Yeah, probably. I'm not. I don't think we should sound the alarm or anything too much, but he did look heavier than. Although he also dealt with the eye thing. Like, how much are you running around when you've got this eye? So that's part of it too.
Now I'm envisioning early season, he's missing jump shots, and people are going to be posting that it's that skit where it's the really fat guy with the goggles just throwing the ball up into like the cables and over the backboard and breaking jumpers, and they're going to be like, this is AD now.
What was that from?
I don't know what that's from.
That was from Along Came Polly, the Make It Rain.
I've only ever seen the meme like shared where like somebody has a bad shooting night and they're like shooting like this guy.
Oh, that's God, why am I forgetting the actor's name? He passed away.
You're thinking of I know the one you're thinking of. Yeah, it's oh my gosh. He played Art Howe in Moneyball.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the it's a
How am I forgetting his name?
Gosh, someone's gonna say it in the
somebody in the chat needs to help.
Yeah, that guy's awful. Like, he's missing, but I think these people are saying Spice Adams is the guy. He's like a very heavy set guy, and he's wearing goggles, and he is just like bricking shots. Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's who you're.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. There we go.
But I was like, yeah, well, all right. AD's fat, goggles. He'll be like,
got it. So got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I was on the wrong meme there. All right.
Yeah. But that's a good call too with Philip Seymour Hoffman. Man, it's okay. We couldn't get there. We needed the chat's help.
See, you know what? We need to play our way into podcasting shape. That's it too. I'm in preseason form. Greetings from Serbia. Can you tell me when the Nuggets can sign a 15th player for a minimum and still remain under the luxury tax? As I understand, they are trying to avoid the repeater tax. So let me pull up their cap sheet.
Yeah, they're actually over, I believe, the tax.
Let's see.
Already, I think they're like 400,000 over.
Denver, there it is.
Yeah, they're already over the tax. So that's with an open spot. So they need to shed a contract to be able to then fill the spots and get under. So I can't really give a timeline because it's not as simple as like, this is how far they're under.
Depends on what salary they move.
Yeah, they'd have to move a salary out. But they've got a couple salaries they could move if they need to do that and fill out the roster.
All right. Andrew said, Keith, predictions for our mighty Leeds Untied tomorrow.
That should say United. I hope they're untied on the good side and they win. Right. They're playing Tottenham tomorrow. So, I hope, man, they just come away with a point. Like, pick up points against the teams that are better and then, get the 3 points against the teams that are worse. But I can't do another have 3 points in hand and then come away with a tie because you let up a goal in stoppage time. That's already happened twice this year. I don't want to see it again. Like, if you're gonna lose, just lose and lose the game or tie. Just no late stoppage time goals, please.
All right, Mark said, do you have any projections on some of the free agents? I mean, the biggest one is Russell Westbrook. That's still sitting out there, former MVP. That's not on a team.
Apparently feuding with Kendrick Perkins. I didn't know that.
Is he?
Apparently Perk said something about
this
when he was still with the Lakers. Perk said like Russ needs to watch it or he's going to find himself out of the league within a couple years.
Yeah.
And then because we were like, Perk, you kind of called this. And he's like, I didn't call it because I wanted it to be. And he goes, and that was the end of our relationship. Because then he told some long story about how Russ's wife yelled at him. And then his wife started fighting with Russ's wife. And they used to be close from when they played together on the Thunder and all this stuff. So I don't know. Sometimes it's like, did this really happen? Or are you just like creating drama for a stalking point? But I mean, I think with Russ, we've talked about it. It's going to be wait and see now. Who needs a point guard at some point in the year? There's no rush for him to go through this. We know he's Russ. He's going to keep himself in good shape if he's planning to play. That's never really been a question mark with him. So it'll just be, all right, who needs him and when?
It seems like there's a number of teams too that find themselves in the position where even if they did need a point guard, they can't sign anyone right now because of the hard cap. And so it may take waiting until whatever point of the season each individual team is able to actually use that better minimum salary. That could be a factor in Russell Westbrook's future as well. I'm still, though, even with Russ being Russ, even with him being potentially a difficult fit on rosters right now, I'm still surprised that here we are, the preseason's here, and he is not on someone's roster. That is still shocking to me.
Yeah, we did it a couple weeks ago, but you just run through the rosters. Nobody needs point guards right now.
Yeah.
Like everybody's got two or more guys that can handle that spot. And that's what he needs, right? And I know people are like, well, Houston. But like you said, Houston doesn't have room. They can't sign somebody. Dallas doesn't either. And they went with D'Angelo Russell. And then you just kind of look around. Nobody else really needs a point guard. And I think it was Perk who also said like he should be on the Bucks right now. But I think the Bucks are like, he's just not a great fit with Giannis, right? Like that's the issue. I think if they maybe hadn't gotten Cole Anthony, maybe they would have brought him in as kind of the same role he played for Denver, where you're going to come off the bench and be there. But I think if I'm Russ, I'm going to wait. Maybe Milwaukee has an injury, and then Milwaukee's like, all right, we do need, somebody like that. Maybe one of these other teams that's trying to be pretty good has a backcourt injury, and that opens up a role. Because he's not just going to sign on with somebody to just sit the bench. I think he's going to be, hey, I really want to play. Team that kind of could make some sense for him if, like, Rob Dillingham is not ready, he could make sense from Minnesota. But again, that's a team that's, that they're trying to keep their salaries as in line as they possibly can. So I think they're going to give Dillingham every chance. But if we get to like January and it's like, all right, kid's just not ready, or if Dillingham's ready, but Mike Conley has fallen off and isn't playable, then maybe they move in a situation like that. And they're like, all right, let's bring in Russ. Cause it's, better than having to kind of just piece it together off the bench.
I'll tell you what, if I was Russell Westbrook and I had an opportunity to sign in Minnesota, I would sign just to get to wear one of those cool tree jerseys. Those are awesome. You know what needs to happen now? Just to be peak irony, Kawhi needs to wind up on the Wolves.
Oh, yeah.
And wear a jersey covered in trees.
That would be something.
Oh, no. All right, let's go here. Apple said, why did Russ decline his player option? Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if we can necessarily classify that as a mistake. Like, yes, he'd be on an NBA contract.
Yeah.
But if for whatever reason he wasn't happy, it depends on why he declined. Did he decline it specifically because he thought he was getting a raise somewhere else? Then yeah, it was a mistake. But if he declined it because he just really wanted the option to pick whatever team he wanted to go to, then I don't know if I could say that this was a mistake. Given the amount of money the guy's made over the course of his NBA career, a veteran minimum salary is not going to make or break him.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That part was more just I want control over where I'm going to be, and for whatever reason, it seemed like he was either didn't want to be with Denver anymore, or was, hey, we'll kind of get it figured out there. But yeah, we're waiting. I mean, him, Markel Fultz, a handful of other guys. It's pretty bleak. I tweeted it out maybe a week or so ago with who's available in free agency, and it's not. It's pretty.
The interesting ones are Russ and Malik Beasley. Really, are those are the main interesting ones that are out there.
Yep.
Is it possible that many of Embiid's injuries occurred from adding too much weight / muscle to his frame? Is his a cautionary tale in that way?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I guess I don't know.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I've heard people say this for years and years, and clearly we continue to get better at it. But people who are over 7 feet tall are just not made to run and jump and do the things that they do. Like it's just the body is not, while you may be tall and big, it's still a lot of force coming down on your knees and your joints and all everything there. And that makes it hard. And when you're that big, I mean, we go all the way back. Remember when he had the foot stuff going on and Brook Lopez was in the same way. And they said, why sometimes does it take big guys a very long time? It's a long way for the blood to get there. Like that's like a real legit thing. They talked about it with Scott Pollard when he was going through his heart stuff. When Scott Pollard's like 6'10", 6'11", when you're that big, your heart has to work very hard to get the blood where it needs to get, and it's hard. It's tough on people. And I think in Embiid's case, it is like I think there's probably a whole bunch of things that factor in, and I don't know that it's all just weight and other things. I'm sure that is a factor. He's talked about he's lighter this year. He feels better and he's hoping that'll get there, but we've seen him come in lighter before and it hasn't worked. So I'm just not sure where, what's going to be the kind of, magic thing for him. And I'm really scared that it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I hope that's not the case, obviously.
Yeah.
Such a good player.
Absolutely.
But, so Alex threw in Ben Simmons as well, another free agent that's still out there, with some intrigue at least.
Yeah.
Let's go sit out there.
Whoops. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Wemby might end up like Yao. They're not built anything similar.
No.
Yao is legit built like a tree. Just go look up the picture of Yao and JJ Watt, who JJ Watt in any normal setting is a massive human being because he was like 6'5" and 300 pounds, and he looks like a child next to Yao. Yao Ming remains the largest human being I've ever seen in person and been near. Like it just boggles the mind. I've seen tall guys before, and guys even taller than Yao. Not a lot because there's not that many, but like just his overall size was just. I mean, that first game when he played Shaq. That's the first time anyone ever in the history of Shaq's life was Shaq like, I feel kind of small.
Right?
Yao was just unbelievable. Just the size of him completely from head to toe just didn't make sense.
Look here's just a quick, Google search or whatever, but Yao and Shaq standing next to each other.
Yeah.
Like that's
it looks like a center standing next to a small forward.
Right.
And Shaq's 7'2", and in that picture, probably 300 something pounds.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It just doesn't make sense. Like he's just, So I don't think Wemby, plus the other thing with Wemby, he's talked a lot about this. Wemby has been training his entire life for this.
Yeah.
Like stretching, doing all these extra exercises to stay limber and all these things. We're not comparing them as basketball. Basketball players are not even remotely comparable. Like they don't play anything alike. But just body wise, like Wemby is like built for this. The one that was crazy to me was when I watched him do the with Wemby. He did that. He was laying on his back and he sat up and reached out reached out and just easily grabbed the end of his like bottom of his foot. And I was like, this isn't like you did a sit up right into a toe grab.
And that doesn't even man.
Why are you so long? Like that's just So
All right. From there, I think we're gonna get ready for some basketball here tonight. Obviously, we've got all kinds of stuff going on around the league, but preseason is here, man. The Grizzlies have no center or forward available for the beginning of the season. Yep, you've got Zach Edey, Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson Jr. all injured right now to start the year.
Yeah, so if you're one of those 7-footers we were talking about, you might want to just hang out around Memphis's practice facility.
Go just hang around the arena, and everything will be fine. They'll probably throw you a jersey before long, and next thing you know, you'll be on the floor.
Yeah. Rapid fire, the aprons aren't going away. How we work with the aprons and what causes hard caps may tweak, but they're not going away. Teams are happy. In general, teams are happy with where this is at because they kind of are seeing, all right, it'll come for everybody eventually if you get there. So,
all right.
Don't have anything else. So I think we're good.
I think that's about it. We'll head off to the weekend, but thank you everybody for joining us here today. We're excited that the NBA is back, at least in preseason form. We'll have the regular season coming up in just under 3 weeks now. Yep. We'll have regular season basketball coming up, and
you got hoops early tomorrow too, 11 o'clock. Knicks and Sixers second game in Abu Dhabi on NBA TV. So,
I don't know what the temperature is there right now.
Hot.
Oh my God, Keith! I talked about it before. I never felt heat like that. So I feel for those guys going through it.
Yeah, that doesn't. There's like heat, and then there's like that. So, but yeah, it's should be a fun day tomorrow. We get that, and then got some games in the evening. Get a kind of not a full slate, but 4 games in the evening. So we're going, man. We are ready to go.
Let's go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the show. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.